Alright, so for predicting ionic compounds formed by two elements, we have to look at the elements, and we will get the periodic table, this Alex periodic table on the test. So what we need to do is look here, and for an ionic compound we have to have one metal and one nonmetal. So if we look at bromine, bromine is over here. So that's a nonmetal, and then we have sulfur. Sulfur is a nonmetal, so those will not form an ionic compound. So I just put no. Okay, so then we go to the next one. Barium, we have to find that. Barium is over here. Ba, barium. And sodium. So barium and sodium is right here. Sodium is Na. They're both metals. So two metals do not form an ionic compound. Okay, the next one we look at is calcium and chlorine. Calcium is here. Chlorine is here. So this one is a metal and a nonmetal. So yes, calcium and chlorine will form an ionic compound. Then we have to think about the charges on these to decide the empirical formula. So the first column has a +1 charge. The second column has a +2 charge. Oops. And then this is +3. This is +4 or -4. This is -3, -2, -1. Oops. So that's the column. What column each charged each column gets. So calcium is in this column. It's in the 2A column. Calcium is a metal. It forms a 2+ charge. So metals form plus charges. Nonmetals form minus charges. So calcium is +2. So I'm just going to write this out. Let's show our work for a minute. This is just how to get to the answer. This is not my answer yet. So calcium is 2+. And chlorine is over here. Chlorine is 1- charge. So this forms 1-, this forms 2-, this forms 3-. So chlorine minus, and then, oops, the empirical formula for an ionic compound, we just have to charge balance. So if we have a 2+ charge and a minus charge, we need twice as many minus charges to balance the 2+ charge. And we can think about this as crisscrossing the charges. So if we take this 2+ charge and we move it down to this side, we need 2 chlorine minuses for 1 calcium. So 1 chlorine, the charge crisscrosses down to 1. When we write the empirical formula, we're also going to always write the cation first and then the anion. In the formula, we don't write the charge. So again, we're going to crisscross. So if there's a 2 on the cation, we're going to move that 2 down to the anion. There was a -1 up by the chlorine, so we're going to move that down by calcium. We just need 1. But we don't write the 1, so we can just leave it like that. We do not write the charges in the empirical formula. So our final answer will be CaCl2, and this is because we're just charge balancing. So calcium always has a 2+ charge, chlorine always has a 1- charge, so we need 2 1- charges to balance that 2+ on the calcium. And so that will be our answer. Okay, the last one we need to check is sodium. Sodium's here. That's a metal. And then chlorine is over here. That's a nonmetal. Yes. So metal, nonmetal, yes. That will form an ionic compound. And then sodium is in this one column. So that's a 1+ charge. So I'm just showing my work. We do not write the charges in the formula. That's Na+. And then we write Cl. Cl, we did that one already, but Cl is in the 7A column, or column 17. These all nonmetals get a -1 charge. Again, the cation, the positive charge, goes first in our ionic compound. The anion goes second, and then we crisscross the charges. There's a plus and a minus, so that will charge balance. Our plus charge will cancel out our minus charge. We just need one of each, or we can crisscross. One goes on the anion from the cation, one crisscross on the sodium. So we just need, this just needs to be a 1 and a 1, and we don't write ones, so I'm just going to delete my charges. We do not write charges in the formula. Oops. So then my final answer will be NaCl. Cation goes first, anion goes second. We need one positive charge for one minus charge. And then let's check that. Okay, let's practice a few more. The next one, let's see. So again, we just use our periodic table. I would use this on the test. You do get this Alex periodic table on the test, so make sure you know how to find that. It'll be over here. So we've got cesium. Cesium is Cs, that's here. That's a metal. And oxygen is over here, that's a nonmetal. And this key is really helpful again. So metal plus a nonmetal. So that will form an ionic compound. Okay, so that's the first step. And then the next step is we have to figure out the empirical formula based on the charges of these ions. So the metal is going to form it's in this, cesium is going to form a +1 because it's in the first column. So we're going to put, I'm just going to show my work, Cs plus. And then we also have oxygen. Oxygen is in this column. So this column forms a -2. So again, -1, -2, -3. Carbon really doesn't form a charge, but it would be -4. And then over here we have +1, +2, +3. And then we do have some exceptions. The transition metals, we don't really talk about in this class too much. We can figure out the charge if they're in a compound. Zinc always forms 2+. There's no exception. So zinc always forms 2+. Cadmium always forms 2+. Silver always forms +1. And gallium and aluminum always form +3 for our class. All right, so where were we? We were looking at oxygen. So -1, -2. So that's something you just have to, that might be something you can put on your note card, or you'll have to remember that. Oops, where's my 2? So 2 minus charge, we write the number and then the minus or a plus. So the empirical formula, we always put the metal first, the cation goes first, and then the anion. And then we crisscross the charges. So there's 1 plus charge here, 2 plus charges here, or 2 minus charges here. So we need 2 of these plus charges to balance 1 oxygen. So we're going to crisscross. So this needs to have 2 cesiums because there's a -2 on the oxygen. So crisscross 2 cesiums for 1 oxygen. And then we just get rid of that charge. We don't write the charges in the formula. Oops. We don't write the charges in the formula. So this final answer will be CS2O. So we need 2 plus 1 charges to balance a 1, 2 minus charge. Overall, it has to be neutral. Okay, the next one is calcium and oxygen. So let's see, calcium is Ca, calcium. And then oxygen, that's a metal, and a non-metal, oxygen. So metal, non-metal. Yes, that's the only ones that form ionic compounds. We have to have a metal and a non-metal. All right, and then we have calcium is in this column. So everything in this column, all the metals form a 2+ charge. So Ca, I'm showing my work. I'm writing the cation first. And then oxygen is over here in this column. The nonmetals here, in the 6A column form a -2 charge, all of these. Again, that might be something to put on your note card. That would be, you have to remember that for the test, so maybe put it on your note card. And then this one's interesting. If we crisscross, we need 2 cesiums for 2 calciums. We can also think about this. Calcium has a 2 plus charge, cesium has a 2 minus charge, so we just need 1 calcium to balance 1 cesium. Or the other thing we can do is when we crisscross the charges, we can say, oh, well, we'll bring down the 2 to the cesium, we'll bring down the 2 to the calcium, and then we just simplify. So again, we write the cation first. We don't write the charge in the formula. Charge doesn't go in the formula. I'm just showing my work right now. And then we have, because we have 2, 2, we need to simplify that. We have to divide out the 2 for an ionic compound. So 2 divided by 2 is 1. We don't need to write the 1 as a subscript. Don't write 1s as subscripts. So this is telling me I need, for every 1 calcium, I need 1 cesium. And that makes sense because calcium has a 2 plus charge, cesium has a 2 minus charge. Oh, oxygen. I don't know why I put cesium. That's embarrassing. Okay. Calcium has a 2 plus charge. Oxygen has a 2 minus charge. And so 2 plus, 2 minus, they charge balance. Okay, let's keep going. Let's look at the next one. The next one says cesium. Cesium is always plus 1. It's in this column. Chlorine is over here. It's a minus 1. So yes, also metal, non-metal, that will form an ionic compound. We need a plus charge and a minus charge to form an ionic compound. So Cl, calcium, chlorine. We have to be really picky. This is like a spelling test in Alex. We have to make sure that we put the capital on the C, lowercase a. This is a plus 1, this is minus 1, so we just need 1 of each. Okay, the last one is fluorine and lithium. Fluorine is over here. They just put so that this one's a non-metal. Lithium is over here. It's a metal. So yes, we have a metal and a non-metal. It doesn't matter the order. We have a metal and a non-metal. So those are going to form an ionic compound. We have to put the metal or the cation first. So lithium is plus 1 charge. Fluorine is a minus 1 charge. So plus 1, minus 1, we just need 1 plus to balance the 1 minus. We just need 1 of each, so we just write it LiF. That tells me I need 1 lithium for 1 fluorine. We just don't write the 1s as subscripts. Oh, I wrote calcium instead of cesium. Oops. So make sure be really careful on your spelling. I just wrote the wrong symbol. I wrote calcium. I'm getting confused up here. So be really careful, pay really close attention. This is like a spelling test. And you do get that periodic table, so make sure you practice using it in your practice before the test. Okay,